Burke, we've lost contact with the colony on LV-426. Take Gorman and his team to investigate. We don't want anyone to learn that the company has deliberately infected colonists in order to smuggle alien specimens past ICC quarantine.
Yes, sir.
It's imperative that you get Ripley to trust you. She's familiar with the xenomorph, and we may need her help to bring one out alive.
Understood.
All right, understand this. The Bioweapons Division had orders to eliminate anyone who attempts to interfere. Obviously, they won't be aware of your team's mission.
Good luck, Ripley.
Accessing computer system. Security codes. We're in. Stay frosty, people.
Okay, today I'm going to cover some of the Alien games, Alien Trilogy and Alien 3. Alien Trilogy is a really nice game. It is basically a combination of the first three Alien movies, Alien, Aliens and Alien 3. It doesn't have anything to do with Alien Resurrection though. But it's a really nice game, and it's basically a combination of all these three movies, although it mostly puts emphasis on this one. This is the box of the game. I think it's stunning. It's got that big jelly xenomorph on the cover. It says Alien Trilogy, fully loaded for real-time multiplayer action over network. And it's a DOS product, hooks at Windows 95. We turn it over and we see it's enhanced for PC. Those are some screenshots. Multiplayer network and modem gameplay. Xenomorph hell, you're surrounded. Oh. Let me focus that. Infestation calls for dog alien extermination. Welcome to the nursery, wasted blood. Here's the story. Ripley established contact with the colony LV-426. Haunted by memories, your hope there is just some small oversight. Some simple communications problem, but you know deep down in the back of your mind, they're back. Facehuggers, chestbursters, dog aliens, adult aliens, rootless corporate shields and 3 queen aliens, over 30 acid encrusted levels, an arsenal of lethal weapons, realistic explosions, blast damage and audio voiceover. All the gut-crunching 3D action of the complete Alien Trilogy in one Black Death white knuckle nightmare. Well, that sounds pretty exciting. And by the looks of it, it's really nice looking. And I must say it's a pretty damn good game. And this is the Super NES version. It's not bad, but I find it a bit boring, although the graphics are really nice. There's a xenomorph again. You grope through the darkness, heart-pounding fear chokes your breath. Your motion tracker flashes. You want to run, but if you don't destroy every acid-spitting xenomorph on the planet, the nightmare will never end. 3 times the suspense, 3 times the danger, 3 times the terror. Oh, I can't focus the image. Deadly aliens are everywhere. Rescue the cocooned prisoners. Feel the terror. Oh, there's your xenomorph again. Explosive firepower. Well, that game has really impressive graphics. except I find the game a bit boring. But this one is a lot more exciting, although not as impressive visually, but it's a nice game to play. It's very similar to the Game Gear version and the Genesis version. And we're going to take a look at this one too. And here is the NES version. Graphically not as good as the Master System, but the music is a lot better. Although the game may not be one of the best NES games out there, actually the Master System version is better. And here's our Megadrive cartridge. I don't have a box for that one. Well, these are of course the movies. First Alien movie, released in 1979. I think it's a pretty awesome movie. It can really scare the hell out of you if you see it for the first time. And then there's Aliens from 1986. This movie is very long. It takes about 2.5 hours, but it's great. And the game Alien Trilogy is mostly based on this movie, especially the introduction sequence. And there's Alien 3 from 1991, where Ripley is on a sort of prisoner colony. It's not it's different from Aliens in well, basically the setting. She's on how do they call it? Fiorina 161. It's a well, sort of space prison, and in the end she jumps into molten metal, as far as I can remember. And there's Alien Resurrection from 1997, where they bring her back to life. This movie is okay, but not as good as the first three. Okay, that was the first part. Now let's have a look at the games. Okay, this is the menu screen of Alien Trilogy. As you can see, there are some options to choose, like the means of control and the difficulty, the language. You can also load a game. There's a multiplayer option, and when the level starts you get a short mission briefing. This is the first stage. As you can see, it's very reminiscent of the movie Aliens, just the way you walk through those corridors. It's like you've entered the colony and you're just in the beginning of the movie. There's some face huggers that annoy you. Those are some barrels that you can blow up, but you need to have a shotgun for that. You can't do that with your pistol. These doors have to be opened by powering them up. There is a med kit, another face hugger. There's our shotgun. By the way, this game has a lot of weapons, and well, as you can see, it's pretty much a Doom clone. And it's a pretty good Doom clone. It has CD audio music, and it was also released on the PlayStation and the Sega Saturn. I don't have these versions and I've never played them, but I suppose they are pretty much the same thing. Both systems were capable of CD audio, so I don't expect any differences there. As you can see, you can select your weapons if you press escape. And you can also read your mission and see the map screen. That is, if you have found the actual mapper. In the bottom right corner you have a motion sensor, so if there's any alien approaching you can sense that. And blam, with the shotgun we blow up the barrels and we can proceed. Another medkit, and it's kinda dark in here. Just like in the movie. There's our map again. Very handy. Because everything looks the same. Get out of my face, you face hugger. There's our first xenomorph encounter, and it has green blood. Oh, how surprising. Aliens usually have green blood. And now I can't open the door because I have forgot to look for the battery. But if I had found it, I could have opened the door, and that was the end of the stage. Now there's a save game, and this is a relatively short stage with a timer. You have to get out within 60 seconds. And this is a level where you can basically stash up your supplies. Your weapon cartridges and things like medkits and patches. And whatever stuff you'll need to survive, you can keep a stock here. Oh, and that was the... that was almost the end? No, that wasn't the end yet. The door opens. So I've just done that within the time limit. And in this stage there is a bunch of new things. It's like those Marines from the corporation, I suppose, that try to kill you. As you can hear, the music is pretty nice. It's got a very atmospheric style to it, very sci-fi. It's just right for this kind of game. Now we're in some kind of laboratory with quite a few xenomorphs. And there's a bunch of generators that we have to activate in order to power a lift. And that was a bit of a frame rate issue there. And that has to do with DOSBox. Something with cycles and the capturing. Now we take a look at Alien 3 on the Super NES. It's got a very nice introduction. It's very exactly done like the movie. It's just as nicely done as with Alien Trilogy. At the start of the video you've already seen the introduction of the Alien Trilogy game, and that was pretty much a very accurate rendition of the first few scenes of the movie Aliens. Well, this is pretty much like that, except now it's for Alien 3. This version of Alien 3 is not really true to the movie. It seems like they've used the movie Aliens as their source material, because the movie Alien 3 itself wasn't really that suitable, because it only had one alien in it. Again, this scene is almost exactly like the movie. Ripley is the only survivor, and her escape pod crashes on a planet with a sort of space prison with a difficult to pronounce name. She also had another person with her, which was Newt, which was a 12-year-old girl that she rescued in the movie Aliens, but apparently she died due to the crash. And her bionic companion Bishop is in a state beyond repair. And there the pod lands or crashes on the planet. And the special thing about the prison is that it's only a prison of men, there's no females, so in the movie that's quite something. It causes a lot of trouble being her there in the prison. And the men can't really handle it because they were rapists, and well, they can't really handle a woman. And the prison is called Firion. Yeah, I can't pronounce it. Fironia Fury 161. Well, negative capability. That's what they say about the synthetic humanoid, but he's just basically broken. Even though this game was made by LJN, it's not bad. It's one of the very few games that they made that they were actually good. But maybe it's because it was developed by Probe Software. Now we're entering the first stage, and I haven't really played this game that much, so I can't really tell much sensible things about it. All I can say that it looks really nice, the graphics and the animations are really good and the sound effects are decent. Music is okay, but in terms of gameplay it's a bit boring. It consists of missions and you have to do stuff and you have to do the things that the people had to do in the movie Aliens. You have to weld and you have to repair stuff, and that's basically what this game is about. And you have to rescue the occasional prisoner. What you can see is that the animations are very good. They're what you expect of a Super NES game. One nice feature is that you don't have to use a button to switch between weapons. Each weapon is assigned to its own button. Here is the terminal where you can select your mission and you can look at the blueprints of the prison. And it basically tells you what to do for each mission. I can't get to that prisoner, but as you can see, you can really fry those aliens. Oh, that's another prisoner, I guess. And in this game you get no points for rescuing it, so don't really bother. In the other versions of Alien 3 you have to rescue the prisoners, because it's the main goal of the game. But in those versions you also have a timer working against you, which can be quite annoying. This must be the LED works in the movie Alien 3, there was some kind of iron works or iron melting thing. Oh, and now you get a really good game over screen with a drooling alien. And it says game over, man.
Game over, man.
And now we are looking at the Sega version. The Sega version was also released on the Amiga computer. The Amiga version is pretty much the same. The only difference there is that you have to choose between sound effects or music. But besides that, it's pretty much identical. This version of Alien 3 is the version where a lot of the other ports are based on. Well, you got a nice grueling alien. And you can see right from the start there's a timer and a motion tracker. And the aliens are really nasty, because they are much quicker than you. And you usually fall down. And there is some platforming in this game too, some jumping. Jumping controls are slightly awkward, but it's not really that much of a problem. Oh, I forgot to mention that the Super NES version has fairly smooth controls. At least smoother than in this version. Well, just rescue the prisoner. And there's also a counter just below the timer that keeps track of how many prisoners you've rescued. You can open those doors, but you can't close them. And there's some air ducts, and there's aliens in there too. And they always surprise you, even though you've played this game so many times. They just seem to come out of the ground. I wonder how they do that. They probably use their acid. At least in the movies they seem to fall through ceilings and floors, and they really burn through them. So that way this game is sort of accurate. And now we see the Sega Mastersystem version. It's pretty much the same game, except it's in 8 bits. And it's pretty decent for the system. Even the music. The Sega Master System didn't have the greatest sound chip, but its sound effects and music are pretty decent. And I think this version is better than the NES version that we'll look at in a moment. Although one thing is better in the NES version, and that's the music. But in terms of graphics and gameplay, this version is really much better. Also, this was released on the Game Gear. The level maps have got some small changes, but not much. I like that sound effect when you rescue a prisoner. Anyway, Nintendo's version is slightly different, probably because Nintendo wanted some kind of exclusiveness, but they should have ported this game instead. Somehow I feel this version is more playable than the Genesis or Megadrive version. And now we see the Commodore version. Yes, it was actually released on the Commodore 64. And it's pretty decent for the system. It was one of the last commercial games released for it. And it's really worth playing. The music is fabulous, much better than the Master System version. But that's obvious, because the C64 has an awesome sound chip. The only problem with this version is that the controls are a bit stiff. But that's really just a limitation caused by the one-button joystick. Overall, I think they've done a really decent job at porting the overall concept of the Master System and Genesis version. It plays pretty much the same way. It's got that same kind of experience, especially with that music. What I usually do when playing one of the Alien games is I play them in a dark room. I just turn off the lights and close the window blinds, and that just adds the experience. Actually, this is one remarkable game for the C64 because it had such a long commercial lifespan. It had anything from Atari style games to more like NES style stuff and anything in between. And this is definitely one of those late era games. The one kind of game that you thought wouldn't really be possible on the system, and still it works really well. Ooh, watch out for the alien, let's fry it. So, he's toast. And just like in the other versions, the time is really working against you. I pretty much completed the level and still I can't make it. So you really have to memorize where to go. And that's the Snes version that you're seeing now, and you've got that drooling alien again. As you can see, the graphics are not as good as the other versions, they're kinda tiny. But the music is excellent. You should really listen to all the soundtracks in this game, they're fantastic. Even though the game itself is not the best. It's one of the well, it just has some problems. As far as I can remember, the jump and fire button are reversed than what you would expect from the NES, and that's a bit confusing. Oh, and there's some kind of ceiling alien. Oh, and another thing that's really big thing you have to look out for in these games is that you can't fall off great heights. You basically get hurt by that. And there's some platform with 2 pickups that you can't even reach. And the aliens are pretty damn fast. They're a bit too fast actually. So the game has some playability issues. It's not perfect, but it's not the worst either. It's just that the other versions are mostly better in a lot of ways. Although for NES this is still pretty decent. And there is some corridor, and if you didn't manage all the prisoners die. So that pretty much wraps up the video. Well, I guess I'll see you guys next time.